Yo, 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 what's going on? Vince Reed here, and it's Friday, which means it's time for some more lessons. So it's been a long day, and I got a lot to cover. So I'm going to be basically going over part two. This is video two of a three-part video series, basically titled Millionaires versus Broke People. All right, so if you missed video one, I highly encourage you, go back, watch last week's video, and check it out. All right, so for those of you who have no idea who I am, my name is Vince Reed. I'm an entrepreneur from Southern California, and I help business owners and entrepreneurs get more traffic and leads for their business. So if you could use more traffic, if you could use more leads, I'm definitely the guy for you. But we're going to have a lot of fun, and I have a ton of information I'm going to be covering. And I will tell you, I will warn you, some of the content may offend you, especially if your bank account does not reflect what you want it to reflect. I'm going to be basically sharing some of the things that I experienced, and I want you to know that everything that I'm sharing, I'm not exempt from any of this. In fact, back in 2007, 2008, I was flat broke. My home was in pre-foreclosure. I didn't have any money. I didn't even know where my next paycheck was going to come from. And a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you are from the experiences that I had back during that time. And I'm going to be sharing with you some of the experiences that I've basically taken into my life these days that'll allow things to basically turn for the better. I actually just got back. I spoke at a live event. If you actually look at my Facebook page, you can see a clip from that. Kudos and much love to my man Billy. Billy G and his marketing. Make sure you check him out. I was speaking at his event. He has an amazing audience, an amazing crowd. And I hope I gave you guys a ton of value. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this. And again, if you missed video one, Millionaires versus Broke People, definitely check it out because this is a three-part series and that information is golden. So if you can hear me and see me, go ahead and comment, hit the like button. I don't want to get into the content. You guys can't even hear me. So if you can hear me and if you can see me clearly, go ahead and hit the like button, comment, let me know where you're from, and we'll get this party started. Now, I have some notes in my office, and I have some notes right here next to me because I want to make sure I get everything covered. All right? So, a lot of the things that you'll find when it comes to just generating wealth, a lot of the problems that people face really start with what's going on between their ears. Okay, it's not necessarily so much the physical, it's more the mental. And, if you go to video one, you're going to find that out. So I'm not going to tell you what the actual, problem was in terms of video one, but there's basically three sections, three parts to this whole millionaire versus broke people lesson. And there's three parts, all right? So part number one, go back and check that video. But part number two, it really breaks down to what I call poverty by association. Okay, I call it poverty by association. All right, now each one of the three parts, they pretty much have five components. All right, so I went through the five components of part number one in video one, so you can go on Facebook. I'm gonna turn my AC on. It's pretty warm out here in California these days. But I went over part one last week of the three parts. And it had five components. So today we're going to be talking about part two, which is poverty by association. And we're going to dive into the five parts. What's going on? I see you, Kevin. I see you, Gil. Who else is here? Who else is live? I know it's Friday. I know people trying to get out of work. Wendy, I see you. What's going on? What's going on? All right, cool. All right, so let's dive into number one. And this is pretty much straightforward. I think when you hear poverty by association, you probably know where I'm going to go with this, which is, part number one, or I should say section number one, of part number two, which is poverty by association, is definitely a lack of mentorship. People ask me all the time, what would I do differently if I could start all over again and start my business? No questions, I would have basically got a mentor a lot faster. All right, and you may have heard this before, but you really are a product of the five people that you pretty much associate yourself with. So if the five people that you call your best friends, and these are the people that you hang around with all the time, I bet you that your income level is probably pretty similar, pretty close to all of those individuals. All right, and if not, if you are hanging around people who are doing a lot better than you, okay, then it may just be that you're just flat out stubborn. All right, but typically you're basically a product of who you hang around, and that's pretty much a rule of life. So the reason the poverty by association section number one is basically who you are associating yourself with, hiring mentors, it has to be a priority in your life and in your business. So if you don't have a mentor, okay, I highly advise you to get a mentor. So what a lot of people ask me when I tell them to get mentors, they'll say, well, Vince, I can't afford to hire a mentor. And I tell people all the time, there's two ways that you can go about this. So for example, a VIP day or weekend with me is going to be 25 grand for a weekend. A lot of people don't have 25 grand for me to basically walk them through what it takes, the actual steps to set up a business, so they'll buy products and services. That's the next step. But there's two ways in. You can pretty much buy your way in, which means you can pay a person for their time, okay, or you can do what's called produce your way in. And when you produce your way in, there's a couple ways you can do it. You buy their book, you buy their products, you buy their services, you get a positive result, you start teaching other people those results, you start letting them know that you're getting results from their products and services, and I guarantee you, whose ever attention you're trying to get, okay, you're going to get their attention. They're going to take note to the fact that you invested in yourself, you did the work, you didn't ask for anything for free, you didn't basically, go try to get them to do things that's going to take them away from the things that they're already doing. You basically invested in yourself, you did the work, and that's really step number one in terms of actually getting a mentor. You guys getting value? Can you hear me? I want to make sure you guys can hear me and see me. All right, awesome. I see the likes. I see the love. Appreciate it. All right, which leads me to section number 2. All right, so we're talking about poverty by association. All right, and this is a big problem, and I actually saw it today at the event that I was in, and most people, and I think we're all guilty of this, and in fact, like I said, everything that I'm sharing with you, these things, this is how I was. When I was broke, I didn't have any mentors. And I definitely didn't have section number 2, or part number 2, which is essentially most people that are broke are know-it-alls. They have all the answers, but their bank account does not reflect that they have all the answers. You really can't tell them pretty much anything. Okay, they know, anything you tell them, this is the response you'll get. I've heard it before. I've heard that before. You know what I mean? So if you tell them something, oh, somebody else said that, and you go, well, why the heck didn't you do it, right? You don't want to be a know-it-all, okay? You want to really be humble and understand that, the wise learns more from the fool than the fool learns from the wise. Okay, that's one of my favorite quotes in the world. The wise learns more from the fool than the fool learns from the wise. A wise person is going to listen and see what it is that person is saying. They're going to try it, test it, implement it, and then take the necessary precautions moving forward. Whereas a broke person, they've heard that before, or already know that information. But how come your actions don't reflect that? Okay, that's what you're going to see often. All right? So the real key is that you have to understand, especially if your bank account isn't where you want it to be, that you really don't know what you don't know. Okay, you don't know what you don't know. I say this all the time. Life is like a pie chart. Okay, 5% of that pie chart represents the things that you know. Like I know how to build businesses. I know how to generate leads online. Okay, those are things that I know. The other 10 to 15% of the pie chart, okay, represents the things that we know that we don't know. So for example, I know that I can't speak Russian. Okay, I know that I can't pilot an airplane from here, from LA to Orange to New York. Okay, that's where most people's lives basically stay. The things that they know, between the things that they know and the things that they know that they don't know. But where wealth comes into play is when you recognize that there are things that you don't know that you don't know. And if you start living your life seeking those things, that's when you start to have major breakthroughs in your life. But most people are know-it-alls. They don't have the capability or the mental strength, or they're not just humble enough to just lay themselves back and say, I don't understand everything. There's things that I don't know. Let me basically go figure it out. And that's why you don't want to be a know-it-all. And again, all these things I'm telling you, this was me. This was me when I was broke, when things started to change. I had to get rid of these things. Again, we're talking about point number 2, which is basically poverty by association, which leads me to number 3. You guys getting value? Hit the like button, comment, and let me know if you're getting value. Who's here? Who's alive? I know people are probably trying to get out the office on a Friday, trying to do their thing. I get it. Let me know who's here. You guys getting value from that? Awesome. Appreciate the love. All right. So this is a big one. This is a big one, and this is really difficult for a lot of people, especially when they're trying to, make changes in their life or business, and, they are used to certain behaviors and certain habits. And again, section number 3 of point number 2, which is poverty by association, it's very simple. It's most people want to feel comfortable. Okay, they like to be warm and fuzzy. Okay, they don't want to basically get out of their comfort zone, right? And you guys know what they say. Okay, you want to basically try to figure out a way to be, what do they say? You want to be basically, comfortable being uncomfortable. Now, here's the thing that you want to do. And this kind of falls back into point number 1 when I talked about most people that are broke don't have mentors. Okay, you want to basically get yourself around people who challenge you. When you can get yourself around people that challenge you, this feeling of number 3 basically goes out the door.